gosh, you've gone through so many storms. And we've talked through the years about how our track forecasts have improved.
Right.
The intensity forecasts are getting better. But one thing, John's line. Tropical meteorology is hard, and it is. One thing that we need to begin to try to I've got to put this in here, Jackie. This is good. So we think that we've come through that, and so now we're going to go into a period where there's potential intensification. And part of the signal that we're seeing, I thought I had that in there. I guess I don't. I'm sorry. The hurricane hunters found a pressure that was 2 millibars less than what we saw in the 11 p.m. advisory from 9:33 to 9:31. Potentially a signal. Potentially a signal of strengthening. So again, we're in the home stretch right now, and I don't really want to. I don't really want to focus too much on that again, but I think that if we start to see that trend, you know, we'll see the adjustment for the 2 a.m. advisory and the 5 a.m. advisory from the Hurricane Center. But satellite presentation, it looks like there is some feasibility to the storm getting stronger as it moves a little bit closer to the lower Keys.
Okay, we definitely don't want to hear that.
Right.
So the 2 o'clock intermediate advisory and the 5 a.m. Advisory are going to be critical for
very critical and big ones right there. Well, I looked at FPNL, got some new numbers on the power outages. Not good, and I think you already know that. You've called it. Looking at the power outages across Miami-Dade, now we're at 142,280 across Miami-Dade. In Broward County, 61,780, and in Palm Beach, 28,960. Now, to give you an idea, earlier, I think we started off at 80,000. It was a little bit lower than that in Miami-Dade when these things started coming through, these bands and knocking everything down. But now, yes, 142,000 across Miami-Dade, 61,000 Broward. And as you said, just put it all in perspective.
Right.
1 out of 10 with power. 1 out of 10.
Yeah, that's a lot. And you know, when you think about it, I mean, we're in this building here. How many power surges have we been through since we've been here on the set for, it's going to be 12 hours,
yes,
11 and a half hours. We've gone through several power surges.
Yeah.
So, you know, and this is a pretty big building, so you can just imagine 1 out of 10. I think we're going to go now to Claudia DeCampo. She's in Plantation now. Claudia, oh, hi. So tell us what's going on there. Describe what's going on.
Sure. We have an update now from the EOC here in Broward, and basically they're telling us that in the town of Davie, they are expecting there to be contaminated water from a sewage pump that is not working. That is water pump station 24. They anticipate an overflow of that pump starting at 7 this morning until about 9, and so that freestanding water in that area may be contaminated. And of course, the staff there will respond as it's water that's used for drinking, cooking, making ice, brushing your teeth, or washing any dishes. All that water, any water you're using, has to be boiled for your own safety. And you have to let the water boil for a while, make sure that, you know, it's okay. But we're going to get another update as it comes to us, but for now, that's what we're hearing now. So again, the town of Davie, there is a possible contaminated water, standing water, because of a sewage problem there. And then the city of Hallandale Beach, a boil water notice for certain areas. And later on, we can probably put up a graphic. That way, you know, we can repeat that for folks.
Okay, Claudia de Campo and Plantation, thanks again for that
Yeah, some good
report.
information to get out there, because a lot of people, of course, you maybe ran out of water, you know, and you're like, oh, it's safe to drink the water. So it's important that we know about this. Again, in Davie, you heard about it. We're going to continue to stay on top of that. Hopefully they'll work on that issue and get it fixed here soon, as well as in Hallandale Beach.
Okay, now we're going to move to Hollywood Beach. David Culver. Is there.
Very, very strongly towards the west. As far as the curfew here, been in effect since 4 o'clock, and people seeming to oblige by it, staying off the road, staying off the beach, of course, and trying to keep sheltered in place until
Bring free temporary housing to those affected by Hurricane Irma.
Wow.
Isn't that great?
on keeping you safe. You know, there's nothing like being able to touch someone's life and try to inform and help you where there's a down power line or a down tree or an area to avoid, or to stay inside and seek shelter. And that's what we've been trying to do. That's what we've been trying to do when it comes to the keys. And you've heard us just talk and go on about the keys, but it's because we want to help save lives out there. We don't want to do these stories where someone lost their life because they made the wrong decision.
The bag is there, and Julia, we've been reporting Florida City is the last stop before the Keys. What are you finding there? What kind of conditions?
Jackie and Juwan, things really just kicked up, strong winds just in the last few minutes. We were outside. We needed to get into our car because it was just a dangerous situation. So let me show you what we're seeing here, and want to point out something in particular. Besides the debris that you see here, you have some RVs parked over here, which looks to me a little bit like we've seen them shaking just a bit here. So where we are near US 1. We're just kind of on a parallel side street as we've been just driving around and checking what these winds have been doing. Very dark here. Jackie and Juwan, just in the last few minutes, we saw some big flashes, power surges, and then power go out. We had already a power outage for several hours at the hotel we're staying at, which is really more of a shelter. We're in a two-story building. All the windows are shuttered, and there are people with us there in that shelter who don't live in sturdy houses. So let me go ahead and show you some more of what we're concerned about as we see this RV park here, and unclear if everyone made it out. It doesn't appear that it was completely evacuated. I know it's very dark, difficult to see. I'm going to pass this. Wow, you see those flashes, guys? Not all of that is lightning. Some of those, the electricity flashes, sometimes you see those green flashes from the power lines here. So right now, just a dangerous situation with winds getting even stronger here. And we're gonna go ahead and put our flashlight out here, see if that can help. You see that one RV right there. Not clear if perhaps that's maybe already gotten some damage there. I don't quite see, but I see some trees there that may have been some limbs that are blowing there. I don't see anything that's fallen over on that at the moment, but you can understand. Look at this boat here with the top, that Bimini top. Not sure what status that was in before, but this is an area we're going to keep an eye on because these are vehicles that are no match for serious winds that are here behind this fence that we're looking at for you right here. Also want to point something else out. Nobody is around on these streets, and with good reason, of course. That's because they know the seriousness of Irma, even though we're not expecting a direct strike here in Florida City. They remember very well from 25 years ago what Andrew did. Here's a parking garage right here. In fact, that's actually, I believe, one of the car dealerships that we're traveling behind. Guys, it's so dark. There's some lights still on this street, but it's even hard to tell where you're heading. So right here, so we're driving southbound on Chrome Avenue. If you can tell, there's some trailers right here that my photographer is asking me to try to point out to you. This is a farmer's market. Cafe is right in here as well. The one restaurant that's been open. Quite dark though, so I know you can't really see that. But anyway, we are keeping our eyes open for more damage because we're certainly expecting it. Because, as I said, when we were just outside just a short while ago, we had to take shelter in the car because it's so dark and the winds were so fierce. Sometimes you're not even going to be able to see what could be coming at you, and that makes it difficult. So, whoa, you guys see that? Did you spot that green flash? That's what we've been seeing over and over again, I know, elsewhere across South Florida. And here is the restaurant we were talking about. This is the one place that's actually been open for the past couple of days, but not anymore. And then, hard to see. Let me see if I can wow. There are trailers in here, and this roof sounds like, I don't know if you can hear that roaring right now, but that is something that is just already taking a beating from the winds. This is an area where we think could certainly be hit strongly because of all everything, the equipment that's here, this roof, and this is something we're going to be checking for you because if there is some damage, this is probably where it's going to be because we hear that wind howling. Let me spin around here and show you this side as well. So that's the situation right now, Jackie and Juwan, with these very strong winds that from time to time we're able to get back out and take a look at, but just in the last few minutes it was difficult to stand. Jackie and Juwan, we're glad, we're trying to be as safe as possible, and we're glad that we don't see anybody else out on the streets.
Yeah, amen to that.
Yeah, have you, on your drive down, did you see any cars on the highway at all?
Well, Jackie, we have just been in, since we've been here the past couple of nights, that we have not, so far this morning, we haven't been on the turnpike, but we have not seen any cars at all on US 1 anywhere else. In fact, you know, when we talked to you about 24 hours ago, we saw lots of police officers, highway patrol. Haven't seen even any officers so far yet. We know that, I talked to the Florida Police Chief, Florida City Police Chief yesterday, and troopers had reiterated to me how they are going to take care of their first responders. They're not going to put them out in situations that are dangerous. So it looks like that's they're following through on what they said, Jackie. Juwan.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, good job out there, Julia. We want you guys to be careful as you continue to drive along the road. I see some lights coming your way too, so it looks like a light. It looks like it. It looked like some lights out there. So anyway, be careful out there, Julia. We're going to check back in with you a little bit later. Thank you.
You know, remember when we were talking about the economic impact from Hurricane Irma?
Yes.
Miami News Now is reporting that more than $1 billion in lost sales is expected.
Wow.
By Florida businesses. You know, it really makes me feel bad, especially for the small businesses that are struggling. You know, something like a day, 2, 3, 4 days. The impact that could have on those businesses. Yeah. Could ultimately have them close down. So that's very sad, and I hope that that these businesses can open up soon, that power is restored soon. But you know, when we say 1 out of 10 in South Florida is without power, it's going to take a while for all of that to be restored. It
will, and if you may recall with Wilma, I mean, we were without power for some time, some people a week, if not even longer than that. But FPNL, you know, they've made some changes, and we've heard about that today. And the cavalry is here, but they're waiting for the storm to pass over before they send the crews. Absolutely, because of those strong winds out there. So we're going to check back in with meteorologist Angie Lastman. She joins us now with more on Hurricane Irma. Angie.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We continue to see those winds ramping up. I want to give you a couple updates as far as where those winds currently sit. This, looking out towards Biscayne Bay, we've had reports of 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, possibly up to 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. That hasn't been verified, but we continue to take in that information. You can see the camera, of course, jumping there, and we've been watching those wind gusts increasing. So I want to show you so far in the Keys. That's where we've seen those highest wind gusts. Right now, you'll notice an 80-mile-per-hour wind gust. We're starting to get into that situation where the hurricane force winds, as those rain bands and as the eye of Irma continues to get closer to the Keys, starts to ramp up the winds. 76-mile-per-hour wind gusts from Key West. Notice everybody over those hurricane force winds from Vaca Key to Fort Jefferson. We continue to see those winds increasing, and this is not where they will stay. They will increase here as we go into the next couple of hours and ramp up, and we'll be talking about parts of the Keys, especially when Hurricane Irma, the eye, starts to make its way onshore and in landfalling in the Keys. Winds up to 150 miles per hour will be possible. Right now on the mainland, you can see Broward, Miami-Dade. This is the area that's dealing with those rain bands pushing onshore. We will get you a look at that first alert Doppler 6000 coming up in a little bit, but you'll notice wind gusts, these are wind gusts, 48 miles per hour for Kendall down towards Turkey Point. We're talking 60 mile per hour wind gusts, 40 for downtown Miami, Opelika at 43. Still very strong as we go up to Oakland Park, Pompano Beach. Just about everybody dealing with the heavy rain and those wind gusts, and the potential for the tornadoes not stopping just yet. I want to take you through the next couple of hours as far as where those winds go. You can see as we fast forward to Sunday morning, this is what I'm telling you. Look at this, 127 mile per hour winds for Key West for Marathon as we go into tomorrow morning. So the worst still to come. We're watching it, of course. Hurricane Irma still offshore, but we continue to see her moving northwest right now at a fairly slow speed of 6 miles per hour. We wait for that 2 a.m. advisory to come out. It'll give us an update on her wind speeds and, of course, the movement. In the meantime, notice, take another step through time, going through the 10, 11, 12 o'clock hour, 95 mile per hour winds for folks in Pembroke Pines, Opelika, Kendall, and along the coast. Now, if we look to the west side, Naples, 123 mile per hour wind gusts. So even though we've showed you numerous times, and I feel like a broken record when I'm saying this, even though the track shifted and now the west coast is more in the line of sight for landfalling and for that official track to move through their area and the cone, of course, and we're out of it, we're not out of those strong winds. Those hurricane force winds will be possible, and you can see this model taking that into consideration with those 95 mile per hour wind gusts through your Sunday. As we go through your Sunday evening, you can see they start to die out. Still talking about tropical storm force winds, looking much better for the Keys as we head to Sunday 8 p.m. middle 50s. Still, I think plenty of damage is going to happen, and those winds will stay high for the Keys. But after we start to see that continuing to move north and things getting worse as we go northward, for the mainland, that's when we're going to see those wind gusts extended. And then you can see 3 a.m. on Monday, still some very blustery conditions, 46 miles per hour. Start to see that continuing to move north and things getting worse as we go northward. For the mainland, that's when we're going to see those similar for the Keys, still in those upper 30s. This on a normal day, it would catch you off guard. You would think it was windy. You would think it was breezy. So just because we're talking about possibility of 150 mile per hour wind gusts doesn't mean that as we head into Monday overnight, it's not still going to be breezy. We still will have some problems with the power outages and things like that. So for now, we're going to wait. In the next 5 minutes, we should get that. Sorry about that. We have, of course, the power outages happening for us too. We will be watching for that 2 a.m. advisory to come back any minute now. We're anxious, of course, Ryan and I and the rest of the weather team, to see what happens as far as the movement. We told you earlier the 6 mile per hour movement has been a little bit iffy for some folks, because that does mean that it's going to sit over us for longer. We await for it to make its landfall on the Keys. So lots more information to come. We'll check back in with you guys in just a little bit. Jackie, Jamon, I'll send it back over to you.
Okay.
All
Nancy,
right.
Thanks. Yeah, we're hoping with this intermediate advisory that that it has not increased in its intensity.
Yeah, that's a big thing. And we're just hoping that maybe it's a little off track, you know, or jogs a little bit. You and I were talking about that before because of that eye that's headed towards Key West. And we're just hoping that maybe what happened with Puerto Rico, instead of getting a direct hit, maybe it moves or jogs a little bit. But man, it is headed straight for Key West.
Yeah.
And man, we just hope that it is not as strong or increases intensity as we were discussing before.
We saw some of the destruction that it left behind in the Caribbean. You know, the Turks and Caicos is just devastated. Yeah. St. Martin, devastated. Of course, when I believe that when it had made impact with those islands, it was a Category 5, I believe. Right. And when you look at the pictures in the video, devastating. And then it went on to skirt with Cuba, the north coast of Cuba, That was as a Category 4.
Yeah.
And thankfully for that, I mean, not for Cuba, obviously, but because it stayed so long interacting with Cuba, it became a Category 3. And it lost some of its intensity. And there was some thinking by John Morales. It keeps it. I think now the intermediate advisory, I don't think we'll see a difference in intensity, but the big one is going to be at 5.
Advisory for sure. And you know, we are starting to feel those winds have now for the past few hours. Let's check back in with Keith Jones from Florida City.
Hi guys, yeah, here in Florida City it continues to be pretty blustery. We've clocked some winds better than 30 miles per hour. Those were the gusts actually, sustained right around 22. But check this out, it's now raining sideways. Blocking part of 344th. But look how impressive this is. You can see how large the root system is. Just pulled it right out of the ground. And